I'm starting this 40 minutes early because I don't care. That's the sort of guy I am. That's the sort of day today is. Today is I don't care day. Boom. Welcome. Hello and welcome to Art of Rock every Saturday, except in February because I'm going to Australia. Join us for Art of Rock. And we're going to talk about making music and everything. And I think I got that time right. Alec, did I get that time right? I don't know. Is it 6 p.m. in Berlin right now? It's 6 p.m. in Berlin. It's time for Art of Rock. And I want to say a really huge thank you to everybody on ANGELSPIT'S Patreon. Boom. It's right there. Go get it. Everything on there is eventually free. And this is a thank you, and you keep me going and everything, and I really haven't drunk enough coffee today. I don't care. A couple of bucks a month and you're helping me keep going. Or you can listen to this crap for free. ANGELSPIT'S new single called Art Imitates War. And it's very brutal. And there's another one coming out soon. And I actually got a bunch more drums from the fourth wall, and it's terrifying. New video, single from Ice Planet 9000 has got a video. It's called The Planetoid. It's on YouTube. Go watch it. It's fun. Other madness I'm doing is Bête Noire. I just did a track with that crazy guy who's got another crazy thing coming up very soon called Red Queen. Go listen to it. It's there. And here's more music that you need to know about. This is called the Industrial Incisions Playlist. Go get it. And it's heaps of really awesome music, including bands that you probably haven't heard of but you need to know about, plus old favorites. Go listen to it. Go like it. And like those bands because it's good fun. Everything from Front 242 to, I don't know, Us and other stuff. And if you like your constant, non-stop madness, listen to MTV TV. Boom, there. And we're going to be rating there after this is done. Mark, welcome. And it's bloody awesome. They also have a Patreon. It's there. Go help them out because it's becoming one of the best ways to get your music to the masses, which is a damn fine album. Your mics are live. We're going to talk about something really exciting now. Tax. Aaron, go. Oh, I have to unmute you. You're muted. I muted you because I'm a bad man. Asked to unmute. You have to unmute your mic because I muted you. Because I'm a bad friend.
Take 3. Take 4. All right, we good?
I hear you. You're beautiful. Let's go.
All right. Yeah, so I don't know the extent of the reach, but I do know that the IRS and all of their amazing fucking hellish tactics are starting to crack down on a lot of third-party stuff, i.e. PayPal, Venmo, send your money gadgets and widgets, whatever, as well as Patreon and things like that. I don't know when it goes into full effect, but I just know that there's an air of fuckery out there. And the question posed is pretty much, how do you safeguard the things that you are building or otherwise divert or allocate those funds to be like, no, you can't have this because it's underneath the umbrella of my project. You know what I mean? So similar to LLCs, etc. I know it sounds like I'm going down the rabbit hole, but the base question would be, how do you safeguard that shit from IRS claws and talons?
I'm going to go in after you, Razzie. What you got?
In my experience in the U.S., you're going to pay about a third in taxes, something roughly like that. You can save a little here and there, but as regular income people that aren't in the billions annually and people who aren't necessarily willing to spend tens of thousands on financial assistance, you're going to end up paying a third. So you just sort of write that off in the first, just from the start. And I've played around with LLCs, DBAs, different Schedule Cs for different companies. And as fucking unbelievably Byzantine and crazy as the tax laws are, I was paying about the same thing no matter how you jiggered it. So I go back to you're going to pay, this sort of in the range of 30%. Once you play by the rules and don't claim more of your work from home area on your business account and don't claim expenses that are truly unrelated to your stuff. I mean, musicians, clothing, equipment, portion of your space for studio, microphones, all that stuff, like, that's legit, and it looks fine, and nobody gets audited, and you're telling the truth, and it just, no risk later on. And when you do get audited, you've got the stuff, and you've got the goods, and you've got the history of actually using the things. And then on the point of how they're working with Venmo and PayPal and stuff, I've been thinking about that too. It's actually just came up this week in another conversation, and I think Venmo is just out for me right now. I mean, people are still using it, but it's the same company anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But as long as you're paying the fees and doing it as a business transaction, at least you get the protections, and your buyers get the protections afforded by what it costs to use it. Same with credit cards. I mean, there's some cost of doing business built in that I've just always said, okay, at some point somebody's going to get $1,000 from me that I didn't expect, or that isn't, like, that's cutting into my revenues. But also doing legit, like, personal payments person to person on the PayPal and Venmo is still fine. Like, we're still doing that. But the business to client and client to business transactions, yeah, we're probably do it without pretending it's a personal transaction anymore, and then get the attendant protections. That's cool. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the things that I've at least stumbled across in my dealings.
Brilliant. Thank you. One, don't worry about an LLC. Two, you can claim a doing business as, but who gives a shit, because you're all the same creature in the eyes of tax. Three, thank you. I will post this over here so everyone can read. Oh, you beat me to it.
It's such a vibrant and energetic topic.
No, it's good. It's good. It's tax time, so let's talk about this shit. There ain't no escaping the IRS. Ask Al Capone. I would be suggesting that you make notes about what expenditures, etc., are legitimately, this was to my friend for their birthday, to Venmo and all that other stuff. As far as Patreon goes, it's a business expense. It is, because it's a business. But you've got to remember, and therefore the income is also that. You must remember that if you are setting up a fledgling business, you now have the opportunity to negative gear, as in be claiming, as Resi said, expenses, etc. Because I'm making money from this, so therefore I can offset that. Bada boom. Each state has got a cutoff, and country has got a cutoff where, in order for you to be making enough, like really negative gearing against your main income, you have to be creating this much money. I don't know what those numbers are off the top of my head. I think it changes from state to country. But the thing about it is that by setting yourself up in a business and saying my business is making income, you're setting up your future. So you can't run away, I'm sorry. Which reminds me of a great story about O'Hare, who was Dudo's accountant, but a later stage. And the airport is actually named after his son, O'Hare, who was Al Capone's, basically dubbed him in. So pay that shit, keep a track of your expenses, start thinking like a business, because you are a freaking business. Even if you're putting stuff, like you get receipts, put them into a folder. Electronic receipts go into a folder. And then you once you go through them, you put them into each separate folder for each separate tax year. And paper receipts go in a shoebox, and you sort that shit out when you do your tax. You have to do your tax. I'm sorry, that sucks balls, but you have to do it because you're a fucking rock star, and that's how rock stars rock. Ivan, what do you got?
Yeah, they're going steps further, like eBay and Reverb transactions are going to be getting reported, and the IRS, they don't know if you're making money off those, so they're just assuming you are.
Well, that's great, because that means that synthesizer you just bought is a tax deduction. Doesn't it? I mean, it is a piece of electronic musical instrument.
Well, I mean, like if you've got an LLC for your music business and you buy a synthesizer, that's a tax deduction no matter what.
Yeah,
But
you don't even need a...
if you sell it at a slight loss on reverb, IRS just cares that you made, that money came in. They have no way of knowing the difference between that being a loss or a not loss up front. And so, like selling gear on reverb or eBay is probably just gotten slightly more risky.
Yeah.
So they keep the receipts for all the stuff you buy if you're going to resell it, so that you can prove that you paid later on. Because you do not want to run afoul of the IRS, because like I don't even know how they'd handle in-home studio, but when they come to throw the locks on your stuff, they get their way.
Yeah, they do.
Because they when they do it, they bring guys along with guns.
Yeah, but you don't have to be paranoid, because there is an excessively high chance that that's not gonna happen to you for selling that pedal on reverb for $75.
No, you need a pattern of behavior before they would.
So just claim that shit, and this is the beginnings of your professional career as a professional musician. How do you feel? This is fucking awesome. You are legitimately a professional musician as of now. Thank you, IRS. I need more coffee. Ivan, I just totally railroaded you. Do you want to keep talking?
I'm good.
All right, have another cigarette. Rose.
Hey, what's up? First off, hi everybody. I've missed you so much. I have been getting used to actually having a 9 to 5-ish job that I regularly go to, and it's been traumatizing, but but it's been good. It's been good. I've been soldering and doing all kinds of crazy electronic stuff, which is fun. And and all my everybody I work with is like super nerdy and stuff, so we all get along and it's dope. But anyway, I have been doing taxes as a freelance artist for a very long time. And let me tell you, you want to keep those receipts. Just like he was saying, they go as far back as about, I think, like 7 years in New York. I'm not sure if it's the same everywhere else, but that's a long fucking time that they can go back. And they'd be like, where's your receipts for this? And electronic stuff, that's not good enough. If you get audited, they want the paper receipt, or they want a scan of the paper receipt. They will like really nitpick, because I actually had to, I was the assistant to a big entertainment company, and they got audited. And so I got to see like what it was like, and I had to help him prepare, all of the stuff. And we had to like go through all these years and years of receipts and sort everything out. So trust me when I say you want to do that now. You want to do it now, and then you just want to, what I do is I actually usually I save like the really, the really big envelopes that you get in the mail that are like from like, like your bank, or, what I mean? Like, just like the extra big ones. I save those, and then I write down the name of the category that that it would fall under, and then I keep that all in like a little folder, little accordion folder, right? So that at the end of the year, all I have to do is take it out. Here's all the receipts for gas money. Here's all the receipts for electricity. Here's all the receipts for, paying for QuickBooks Online or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, if you just do it as it goes, you're going to be so much better off than if you have to like scramble and try to, please don't do that to yourself. It's going to suck. But at the very least, chuck those receipts in a bag and just write 2001, like at least have the bare minimum of some kind of organization. It is going to help you. And obviously this is only if you're making a certain amount of money. When you're making like very tiny amounts, they ain't going to come after you for $2 and stuff, but they're going to come after you once you start making past like, also it only counts as a hobby. So you cannot like if you don't make a certain amount in New York, it only counts as a hobby. They will demote your job to hobby. And what hobby means is that all of those things that you thought that you could write off, you can no longer write them off because they don't consider you a business anyway. So what you have to do is you have to show them that you are. So one of the things that you do is you get a DBA. Why do you get a DBA? A DBA is so that you can get bank accounts. Doing business as. That's what DBA stands for. It's not super expensive, and you don't even have to pay Zoom or any of these other companies to do it. If you go down to City Hall, you can do it yourself. I've done it myself. You just go down, you fill out some forms, make sure you have all of the identification and whatever else you need before you go, right? Because you don't want to fucking go all the way to City Hall and then have to be like, oh, I didn't have that. Sorry. Look it up. Make sure you have everything that you need. Go and do it yourself and save yourself some money. You know what I mean? And you just use that bank account so that way you can keep those separate purchases separate from your regular purchases. And this will also make it way easier. Even just doing this will make it so much easier, because at least then you'll have your bank statements. So even if you're missing a receipt or something like that, you could kind of judge by like, okay, this amount, and this was in, I just did a gig in Maryland, right? So, this was in Maryland at a gas station, like one of those big comfort stations, whatever. So that has to be a business expense, because that was when I was doing my gig in Maryland. That's not a regular expense. You know what I mean? So doing stuff like that, even just that is enough to like really get you in a better place. And I also recommend, if you want to use like any bookkeeping software, to use like QuickBooks Online instead of the one that you buy, because I feel that the QuickBooks Online one is way easier. The interface is much more user-friendly, and it's just like, it's easier to put stuff in, and you can attach it to your bank account, and it'll just like suck all that information in for you. So you don't have to type it all in and stuff like that. Like you used to have to do that back in the day. Now you just like link it up, and every once in a while you just check in, and it'll just suck it all down. And once you make the categories, it'll remember, and it'll be like, oh yeah, usually this stuff is usually anything in the gas station is, goes to cars and trucks. Okay, I'm just going to throw that in that category for you already, and that can just make life a lot easier for you. But, when you're in the low stages, you don't have to worry about all of that. But still, just at the very least, take a bag, a plastic, I don't care what kind of bag. Take that bag, throw your receipts in there, have them just in case. It's going to help you. Really, I promise.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. I really appreciate this. Guys, my mojo is just etching out of me right now, second by second. I'm really so grateful for everybody's information on this incredibly exciting thing and a very important thing that you need to know about. Everybody has brought up some great points, and it's really, 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 really important. I can't stress it enough. Rezi, after your few words, we're not talking about this anymore. Go.
I just wanted to appreciate Ivan's very dystopian cinematic version of what's going to happen when you don't pay, and maybe counter it with, I have some friends that have been hassled, and it's just people on the other end of the phone. They want some money from you, and as long as you work things out, it can be a little less than painful. And I prefer desktop because I don't like paying the monthly fees, so I've been on QuickBooks for like 30 years, like a weird old dude. So same thing, you can download your transactions into it, and if you do that, then you don't have to keep scrambling for the shoebox every year, because they just end up on the right tax lines automatically. Done.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that that incredibly important conversation is done. Ivan, if you want to talk about this, I gotta warn you, you're going to be in the firing line, because my mojo is going, and I'm so grateful, people. This is such an important thing, and everybody's given so much wisdom, and I don't want to downplay it or anything. I'm really grateful. Oh my God. Ivan, do you want to talk about this? No, good boy. I'm glad. Somebody had something else really exciting they wanted to talk about. Razil, darling. And once again, thank you, everybody. That was really important. I don't mean to downgrade it. This is a personal problem I have. No one else's problem. I'm not taking my problem out on you. I really, really am right now.
Yeah, Jesus, I just wanted to bring up amortization and tax line depreciations.
No.
Also, in case this wasn't something that you take as a religious act, are rituals important to you in life and creative work? And if they are, what are your rituals?
That is such a beautiful question, and let's delve into that because it's very important. Ritual gets you into the vibe. We just lost Ivan. Alex, I want to hear about your rituals. Also, another question I want to throw in there quickly is, how do you curb the negative voices in your head? Because I'm dealing with this one every minute of every day, and I know all of us are because everybody gave us a nod. And welcome to Art of Rock. Alex, hit me with your rhythm stick.
So I think I have way too little rituals, and I think I would do better if I had more. But one ritual I have is I usually drink lots of caffeine and do sort of exercise to get warm, like you would for sport, before I start singing. I feel that really helps me get into the headspace to get comfortable with my body and find the power you need to sing like it means something.
What exercises do you do, Alex?
Usually like running in place or doing some push-ups or even go for a jog, but if I do too much jogging I will get too exhausted, so then I don't have the power for singing, so I need to have it like in the right amount that I just get warm but not exhaust myself. But I think it's usually just push-ups and running in place.
That's brilliant.
Maybe if I have the space, running in circles.
That's really brilliant. I love it. Even waving your arms around and being crazy as well is good. Mark, welcome. It's always good to hear your voice.
Hi, thanks. Rituals wise, and I swore like 30 years ago I would never set foot in a gym, but I find if I take earbuds with me and I've got my phone, man, a workout in the morning will leave me more energized than I walk in, unless I've just like been up like 2 hours sleep. But I mean, I always walk out happier and bouncing around, and I have a weird little dance, but you just sort of go with the flow sort of thing, and it just puts you in a state where you actually feel invigorated and gives you the energy to feel like you can get something done, whether it's your day job or creativity. And as far as negative headspaces, there was a book, and it's no longer in print, sadly, because it was really helpful to me when I started with panic attacks, but it borders it on that negative thought thing you were saying. It was called, and you can find it like sort of out of print yet, but it is 60 Minutes to Serenity Meditation for Busy People. Totally not spiritual or religious. It's literally like a condensed version of like cognitive behavioral therapy. Basically, like you visualize, say, a box. Like for me, it's a box with a little slot in it, and whenever you get a negative thought, you just mentally just like slap the thought on a post-it note, shove it in the slot, slap the thing closed, put a padlock on it. If it keeps happening, keeps coming back to you, repeat until it loses its power over you. And that can help with anything from panic attacks to just mild distractive negative thoughts that will impede your workflow. I find it helpful in many different areas of life.
That's brilliant, man. Thank you very much. That was really good. Ivan, you better do better.
Okay, so rituals. I mean, yeah, like turn off the lights, light some nice Dragon's Blood incense, maybe some candles to brighten things up just enough. Put on my robe, and then I start with the GPR, and then straight into either Mass of Chaos A or Mass of Chaos B, and then and then
into what?
Banish with Laughter.
Mass Chaos 1?
Massive Chaos A.
What does that mean?
Massive Chaos B. The first one is the Invocation of Azathoth. The second one would be Baphomet.
Okay. All right, cool. So we're talking hardcore. We're talking rituals here.
I thought we were talking about rituals.
We are talking about rituals, but there's rituals and there's rituals. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. If you want to expand on that, please expand as much as you want.
You get some music going, you go a little crazy, do the invocation, start with a good statement of intent, and only ask for things that you need, not things that you want. Trust me on this one. And walk away feeling a bit inspired. It's quite nice.
That's excellent, man. That's really excellent. Razzie, I want you to go next.
I'm still looking in another window to find a book reference for the negative self-talk stuff, and I think we could probably talk about that collectively for a couple hours every week for the rest of our time here. But I don't know, I think it's important to just everybody chime in and mention that they do have that and that they do experience self-defeating kind of inner voice. If they do, not everybody does, but I think it's probably extremely common and probably doesn't get talked about in groups and in public quite as much as it should. And just to share my version of it is it manifests as a bit of a motivation thing. You know, I'll spend the entire day finding things that aren't in line with the model of who I thought I was going to be and what I want to be tomorrow. And the negative self-talk thoughts are, wow, this is miserable. This is not fun. I don't enjoy this. Why are you doing this? And it's watching TV and doom scrolling, the same things that people can do legitimately for actual distraction and fun. But at that point where your voices are telling you something other than this is fun, becomes problematic if you don't then get to act on it. And I find myself doing that quite a bit. And usually there's this like, oh, it's the last hour of the day, time to actually get to work. And then the voices shut up. And I get to actually enter a flow state of some sort and concentrate on something creative and challenging. And the name, well, let me skip that and just talk about one thing that I have found that reliably recenters me. Doesn't necessarily fix my problems, but in a moment of some sort of agitation and lack of focus, I just take a moment and do the normal breath and sitting and introspection things and consider where I am in space. And just take a moment to really reflect on that. And if it doesn't quiet things, it's definitely a trippy, cool exercise to really keep my mind around.
Thank you. My negative voices are crippling, and I deal with them every moment of every day. My negative voices aren't really helped that there are online voices that are echoing specifically towards at me, the negative voices that I feel about me and what I do and my art and everything. So turning them off is difficult. Social media for me is toxic. It is a toxic, acidic, negative cesspool. I've had to start limiting the amount of access I have. My phone's got a little thing where you can say, turn down your screen time. So that's something I'm doing now. Drastically. It gets to a point where I will put my phone in another room when I'm making music or when I'm trying to work, because I pick it up, I scroll, I get depressed. I understand. It's funny because I was talking to my very good friend Brian about this from the Gossicles only the other day. I understand that there's a lot of excess energy in my brain that manifests itself through negative thoughts. Never positive thoughts. Never, wow, man, you're really awesome and this is awesome and everything is awesome. Wow, this is so awesome. Never. I always wonder why that is. Man, anyway, I'm really looking forward to that Human 2.0 or 2.1 upgrade. Anyway, so yeah, I am aware that if I haven't eaten, if I am not caffeinated, if I am over caffeinated, if I've drunk alcohol, if I've got a list of things that if I tick one of those boxes and I've got really negative thoughts, it's like, well, that's probably why. It's really difficult negotiating with the terrorist in your brain going, well, the songs suck, your careers suck, and everybody thinks you're a joke. It's difficult. It's hard to negotiate with that terrorist, because even when you go, oh no, it's all really good and everything's okay, it's still there. So therefore it is beyond logic and reason. So putting on a kind of Spock ears on this one and going, I will destroy this with logic, seems to be a really good option for me. One thing that I am grateful that I have got over is my gear acquisition syndrome, that I have come to learn that new musical instruments, it's like Tupperware for housewives in the 60s and 50s. Tupperware represented all of those parties and everything else that you didn't have because you're a bad wife, which is the mentality. And I specify specifically of that era and of that sexual targeting demographic. That was the point of what I'm trying to say. Nowadays, I look at a whole bunch of keyboards and sense and shit and go, if I can't write a hit with that, I'm not using it. Gear's got to pay rent, and if it doesn't pay rent, then I'll sell it on Reverb and get taxed by the IRS. So, yeah, there's just a whole bunch of bullshit in my brain, and it's really interesting that I always thought that I was the worst head case in the world, and then I got talking to other people, and as it turns out, I'm kind of average, and I've met people who are... They have war in their brain every minute of every day. And it's like, dude. And it's funny that I'm trying not to say, oh, no, you're really good. And everything you do is good because that doesn't really do anything. It's got this tiny short term. Isn't it funny? I can say, your art is awesome, man. I love what you do. It's great. And it's like, oh, cool. And it wears out. But if I go... oh, I think your vocal might have been a bit flat. You're devastated. And you're devastated for months. Isn't it? Why does that happen? Yeah. And so I guess I've learned that the response is, well, you're fucked. And your fucking, attitude is fucked. And I don't give a fuck. So I try and be as punk rock as I can to possibly everything. Oh boy. Logic does help. Thank you, Diana. I'm going to shut up now. Rose?
Hey, so this is definitely something that I think that not enough people talk about because they're too busy trying to make themselves look like a badass celebrity, So I really thank you, Carl, for sharing that because that's, it's nice to know that it's not just me sitting in here hating myself for not, writing better music or whatever else, or feeling like, all of this money and all of this time that I've spent, like, oh, what is it for, etc. It's for art, bitches. That's what it's for. Art deserves to be made. Make it. But anyway, I have very strong feelings about that. But it's difficult when you are having those negative thoughts. The thing that I have found is to stay away from my phone, just like you were saying, Carl, because that's you're just going to leap into comparisоnism, and you have to remember that everything that you see on the internet is a lie, and that's what some people forget. You see like these beautiful pieces of everybody's life, and it's not that that's not true. It is. Those things happen. There's a picture of it, right? However, you're not seeing everything else behind that. You're not seeing all their failures. You're not seeing how much they hate themselves. You're not seeing the fights that they're having with their parents and loved ones who think they're insane for wanting to be an artist and just wish they'd get a regular job so that they wouldn't have to worry about them anymore. You know what I mean? Like this is something that we are all going through. Yeah, right? I'm sure you've heard that one, Carl, because I hear it constantly. And it's funny because it's like, yes, of course, yes, you need money to eat and all of these things. I find that when I find myself in that space, I like to read, but like a book, not online, not something, like a piece of art. You know what I mean? I want to consume a piece of art. I want to enjoy it, and I want to just calm myself down. I just got a weighted blanket, and let me tell you guys, this shit is a game changer. Holy shit! As a person with ADHD who is probably also autistic, I just finally got this weighted blanket that everybody keeps talking about. Blah blah blah. They're like, yeah, people get a sense of comfort from it, and fuck yeah, man. So self-soothing is important. Make sure you have like your favorite tea. Make sure you have like something that's special for you, and don't feel ashamed to enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like prepare it ahead of time before you even, go into that, whatever. But if you start to like, whatever, do something nice for yourself And even better, if you can, do something nice for someone else. That's it. That's a big thing. And I think that that's something that really shifts your perspective, because when you realize, when you're in service to another person and you're helping them out with something, when you're checking, even if it's just checking in on them or whatever, you know what I mean? Even if it's just, postmating them some food or a snack, or, you know what I mean? Like, or just showing up at their door, like, I got our favorite snacks, let's go. You know what I mean? Spend time, real time, face to face with people that inspire you and support you, and not people that are dragging you down a path of self-destruction. Because alcohol and drugs is only going to make you feel better for a short amount of time, and then it's going to make you and everyone around you feel really shitty too. You know what I mean? Like, you can only do so much, before that becomes a problem. And I realized, now that, being in therapy and being, whatever, that I did a lot of the drinking that I did when I was younger and stuff was because of anxiety, because I have such an immense amount of anxiety that in order to put on the armor necessary to deal with peopling, I would be like, okay, let me have a shot. I'll have another shot. I'll have another shot. I'll be even more funny. I'll be even more charismatic. I'll be passed out on the floor. Don't do that. Do something else instead. Call a relative that you haven't spoken to in a long time and just say hi. You'll be shocked, because they'll be like, wow, you actually thought about me? Like, just do something else, anything else, to connect with nature, with a person, with something that is real. Because the internet is not real. It's not real, guys. And that's a big lie that we've all bought. We've all decided that all the things that we see on the internet are so beautiful and so unattainable. And that's why we hate ourselves, because we haven't gotten to that point. Because we're like, when am I going to get to that point? When am I going to be successful? But you're not seeing all the failures that those same people are having. You're not seeing all the troubles that they're going through. You don't know what their health is like. You don't know if they wake up in pain every single day. The people that you envy could be going through even worse things than you are. And you don't know, because all you see is the happy, cheerful, cutesy shit on the internet that makes you think that that's what a real person is. But when you actually call and speak to a person, then you will actually get, a lot of times, what's really happening in their lives. And then you'll find some common ground, and you'll realize, oh, we're all in this together. We are all fighting to be artists, because it's really, really hard to be an artist. It's really hard. Everyone is going to tell you that it's a bad idea. Everyone's going to judge you for the choices that you make, and for how you portray yourself, and for what you put out there, and all the hours that you spend writing music and singing and trying to perfect your craft and make yourself into something that people will notice. All of that is going to get challenged. You have to have a thick skin to be an artist. And it's hard, because we're all sensitive little bitches, and I say that as a sensitive little bitch. Okay. Like, this, it's the truth. We are all artists because we're sensitive to things that other people are not. And so that can lead us down this path of comparisоnism, of hating ourselves, of not feeling like we're good enough. And trust and believe, guys, I've listened to all the stuff that you guys do, and you are all so talented, and I believe in you. Even if you don't believe in you, I believe in you. And that's it. That's what I got.
Thank you, Rose. That was bloody awesome. Ivan, hit me with your rhythm
All right.
stick.
I'm gonna be more serious this time. This is not just about rituals. The whole self-loathing and self-doubt thing. You're 100% right, Carl. Average. It's going to turn out that we're all probably pretty close to average on that, especially in this world. Like, we could go talk. We could drag Blixa on here, or, all of Ministry, or like, you pick a big name, and it's going to turn out that they're just as fucked up as we are. at best, sometimes worse. You know, because the facts of life, it's just how it is. You know, and like I grew up in a world that most people, if they saw it, would describe it as hell, actual real hell. You know, if I wanted to find it, if I wanted to know if I, you know, was a piece of shit and everything I did was, you know, completely worthless, shit, I just needed to listen to my mom in the morning. You know, if I needed, I learned it. My brother put it well the other day when he suggested that the reason that we suck at asking for help is because we grew up in a world where if you needed help with something and did the normal, what you were expected to do, the result would be you get like just screamed at until the problem went away. You know, makes things simple. But here's the good news. One, like Rose, you're 100% right. Like, just get therapy. It is mind-blowing how useful it is. It helps so many things because, you know, finally you just like talk about it and just think about it and tear it apart and, you know, discover where you're making bad choices and then just stop making them because, you know, now you know. And you're also correct. Like social media, that's just the land of bullshit. It's all lies. Like don't take any of that seriously because, you know, you don't know if the other person's just bullshitting about how great things are because the odds are they are. It's normal. It's fine. You know, I'm not saying they're bad for it. It's just what it is. What it is. You know, and like, yeah, alcohol and drugs. I mean, they always look like a great idea at the time, but like, you know, they're just like little like false like blind alleys of more bad choices because it doesn't get you better. It just makes things worse. You know, so like all that stuff, and then I would suggest, you know, like philosophy is where like everything in our world and lives like starts. Like if you have good philosophy, you can get through all of this. And, you know, like the reading list is big, but it's fairly easy. I mean, you know, turns out like you want to learn how to have a self-esteem, read Nietzsche. He's 100% correct. You know, in that, you know, having a good good grounded, well established self-esteem is probably one of the most valuable possessions you can possibly like have because like everything from you starts right there in that spot. You know, and you know, it's like he would have, you know, he came from a world where it wasn't as big of a problem, but like, you know, he would have probably had precious things to say about, you know, drug addiction and social media. Oh, he'd have had very precious things to say about that. And then he would have come back later and challenged you to a fight by saying exactly the opposite thing about it, mostly to get you thinking about it because, you know, dude has a sense of humor. You know, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic guys, some of the stuff they were into was wildly bullshittic, but at the same time, like he makes extremely good points about like dealing with yourself first, you know, getting yourself into a good, like happy, calm place. Yeah, and then like, yeah, I mean, there's lots of other good reading out there too. I mean, okay, you know, like the Satanic Bible actually makes my top 10 list of self-help books because, you know, again, about understanding the value of oneself, you know, primarily that's what it's about. And that's weirdly enough why most people see it as evil because, you know, you're not supposed to feel good about yourself. Sure. And then Book of Five Rings, also great. And The Art of War, ooh, really good. All right. I think I've said enough.
Thank you, Ivan. Bloody awesome. Alex, hit me.
So I struggle with this a lot myself, but over the holidays I've come up with some things I wanted to try. The first thing is to just get back into just loving the process because when I look back, the best work I've done is when I just was excited about music, excited about synthesizers, excited about, I don't know, compressors and equalizers. And just to get excited about the little things in front of you and not think about yourself or your music. And another thing that resonated a lot was what Rose just said, is to do it for the art, to be like a warrior for art itself. So being part of just practicing art in order to make the to make it stronger and more effective. It doesn't mean that you have to do the best thing ever, but just to clock in and do your part. Yeah, I had one last thing, but I forgot it. So.
Thank you very much. That was brilliant. I want to pick up on quite a few things you just said, but after Mark.
Okay, I made notes because everybody's brought up some excellent points, so I'm like sort of like reply. Specifically, Carl, your stuff where you were talking about like criticisms that you might hear something from someone and it just eats at you, sort of thing. I mean, there and also just thinking about your own work and like, so what I recognized in that is things from depressive and anxiety spectrum based things, and they're called cognitive distortions, and like two key ones. So there's like at least 7 different types, but two key ones: all or nothing thinking, like it's oh God, this is entirely rubbish, or oh yeah, no, this kicks ass. There, you can find no fault with it. The extremes are where we tend to hover when we're not necessarily thinking in a balanced way. Another is magnification, where you hear a criticism like that, and your vocal isn't necessarily on or something, and it's not necessarily ill-intended, right? But your brain takes it as that and runs away with it and blows it up about 40 times bigger than it actually is. And basically you sort of have to be mindful. There's a book. It was specifically meant for helping depression, but it's actually applicable to a large large parts of life with many disorders or just life in general. It's called Feeling Good, the New Mood Therapy. It's by Dr. David Burns, as I recall. It's available in every format, including Kindle. I've got a copy. That'll help you recognize those and stem those a bit, quite a bit. There's also a workbook if you need it, but just the cognitive distortions can be so destructive to your state of mind, and you have to, if you can stem those, if you can do those and interrupt them, it helps a lot. As far as the do it for art thing, I would actually take that to its next logical extension. And like we all know, anyone who's done like 5 seconds research knows you do not get into this for the money. So I would take that a step further. Like, you don't do it for other people. Like, we all know our friends are almost never going to listen to our music, or our families. Jesus, getting my mother to listen to things was like pulling hands to you. It's like you shouldn't be doing it for someone else. It should be based on your standards. What made you happy? Feedback is great. It can be, and tying into the last thing I said with cognitive distortions, like, feedback is great. Someone tells you I've never made progress and improved something by somebody saying, "That's lit, dude. That doesn't." It's great. It's great feedback. It's praise. It's dopamine. It's endorphins. I mean, but it doesn't help you grow. The only times I've ever learned were like, why the hell do you have distortion on this? And I'm always like, there's no distortion. What are you talking about? Finally, I hear it, and like, he taught me, like, by one like comment that he kept repeating like track after track. He finally clued me into the fact I was mixing entirely wrong. I was so wrong for like 3 years. I had like 40 tracks that I can't do anything with unless I turn everything down and take off all the compressors. Horrible thing. But like, no, you got to do it for yourself instead of other people's validation, because like, self-worth, to get back to Ivan, comes from within, not from without. So if that's just something that has to come from inside you. You have to sort of do that for you. Social media limiting, what I do, I read it over lunch. I'm doing nothing during lunch really, so I read it over lunch if I'm going to do it, and after that, boom, gone, done. It's or if I'm extremely bored, but I'm not that bored lately. And also, like Rose was right about like the famous people saying, like, I mean, look at Chester and from Linkin Park and Kurt Cobain and now the last one from Foo Fighters. I mean, well, okay, Linkin Park, Chester. That's if you listen to his lyrics, that's no surprise. Um, that he was having some issues, and Kurt was a little more ambiguous, and some of the others that have sadly passed. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you don't know what they're going through. You never know what someone's going through. So yeah, I mean, some really big names we've lost, and I mean, they were truly talented. Much as people like to malign Kurt Cobain, I think he was a genius. Honestly, I think he was underappreciated and unfairly maligned. A lot of people cannot do what he did, and he was really good at what he did. So yeah, I always find it a sad thing. But yeah, you got to consider, like, they get up in the morning, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like the rest of us. I mean, don't put them up on a pedestal, because that's actually, one, unfair to them, but two, like, it can contribute to, if they have problems and everyone's putting them up on a pedestal, that can just contribute to the pressures that lead them to do things like that and burn out, fry, accidentally OD, or intentionally punch eject. I mean, you're doing no one a favor by putting them on a pedestal, sadly. Pretty much it. My major points.
Thank you, Mark. One of the most amazing moments of my life was seeing Dee Schneider from Twisted Sister. You can hear me okay, can't you? Yes. Seeing him address Congress. And he walked in there looking like Dee fucking Schneider from Twisted fucking Sister. Denims, hair, bit of makeup, no fucks given. And he told Congress what it was worth. And it was a real moment for my rock and roll and for so much. Obviously, Frank Zappa as well, but Frank Zappa's a genius, so that's different. And when I saw Dee Snider, it's like he was the voice of so many people. And he was a fucking rock pig. For Dee Schneider, that moment which so many young people saw and went, this guy's a legend. For Dee Schneider, that was the most humiliating moment of his life. He came off that feeling like an idiot. There's an interview where he goes into it. And it's really interesting how he... And I know people who know him, and he's a really legitimately awesome guy. Like, he's a mentor who wants to build whatever it is your rock is. He wants to help you make it. He's a bloody awesome guy. And he always has been. Look at his lyrics. They've always been about empowerment. And it's just really interesting how his perspective saw that moment. And that's something I'm always trying to think about, is that, if Dee Schneider fucking cleaved this shit in twain and felt like an idiot, then I need to shut the fuck up and keep going. Be a mentor. I will stress that again. Be a mentor. Output positivity always. And it's martial arts. This is music. Rock and roll is martial arts, and there's a lot of doing push-ups, psychological push-ups on your psychological knuckles, a lot, getting kicked a lot. And there comes a time for me, and this may or may not work for you, where I have to say, stop fucking whinging, you little bitch. I really have to say, Carl, shut the fuck up. It's funny that my brain is separated itself into the whining bitch and also the Jedi Master, who's just always saying, shut up. Keep fucking working. Keep going. The only way you're going to get through this bullshit is by working your way fucking through it. So shut up, focus, and keep going. Yeah. And I think that also you've got to remember that ultimately, and what Mark and a lot of other have you said, is that art is about your journey. And it's your journey. And people are watching your journey. and clapping or booing or not saying anything. It doesn't fucking matter. It's your journey. So keep journeying. Keep fucking going. Do not measure your wealth by as an artist by money, fans, etc. Don't do that. You've got to just keep going, and you've got to teach yourself and hone yourself and keep going. You've got to take all of this negativity and bullshit that is in the world and everywhere, and your gift from the cosmos is the cosmos has gifted you with a brain that will take all of this bullshit and turn it into something beautiful or horrifying, but it's going to turn it into rock and roll or whatever your art is. So you've got to keep going. That's my fucking lesson. And also, I know where so many of you, you've been fantastic support to me. And, you've bought my merch, and I'm grateful. And that means I have your address. So if you stop making your art, I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to do a shit on your bed. I keep saying that, but I never have. Razzie! Say something brilliant.
I don't know if I can really follow that up, my friend. That's...
I can give
the
you
threat
their
of doing
addresses.
a shit on a bed is pretty much brings it all together. Yeah, I like what you were just getting into about the constancy, the perpetual work. It's always the work. It's always comes down to we're going to be doing the work, and sometimes that work is, or the work is therapy. Sometimes the work is discipline, and I also wanted to add that, like, willpower and these sort of common words we have for grit and getting to it, they can work really effectively in some cases, and some people just don't respond to them. I happen to not, as just to underscore it, lifelong chronic major depressive disorder. It's treatment resistant. Drugs don't really make much of a change. Therapy hasn't really changed anything, and I've been with dozens of therapists for sure. Just hasn't really responded in a consistent way. I did want to drop an underline under what Mark L. said about feeling good. These are some things about doing the work. There are some useful little morsels in it, and there's some step-by-step buzzwords of cognitive behavioral therapy that reached me and gave me a moment of some, relief and elevated self-esteem. And Ivan, I wanted you to really, if you could throw a link on where to start with Nietzsche. I love that idea of really focusing on the self. I didn't find the satanic stuff to be as empowering personally. As an art experiment, I think it's pretty fantastic. But if you could, like, maybe give us a primer or someplace to start with Nietzsche, I would love that. And then there's one other book that I've taken some of these little things from and had some interesting results from, and Feeling Good, the New Mood Therapy, which I dropped in there in the chat. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of about what do you do with these things. We have these DSM diagnoses and bits of success and failures and stuff, and like redoubling and getting back to the notion of the things that worked for you a little bit, holding on to them, coming back to them, and maybe ritualizing some of them more than just, good incense resins. Maybe those are all you need. But yeah.
Thank you very much. I just want to very quickly, before I throw it back to Rose, the idea of a weight bed sounds fantastic, but do they purr? And that's another thing. If you want an instant pick-me-up, give your kitty some nip. And you want to really fucking grow that shit. And I'm telling you, man, a cat on catnip is the best thing in the world. Like, hold their little face in it and watch them go psycho. It's awesome. Rose, thank you. Resi, as always, hit me, Rose.
First off, I was on a TV show with Dee Snider, and I got to spend a wonderful day with him and his entire family, and he is a wonderful, wonderful person in real life. Like, just super, super kind, super loving, super just generous and easygoing and awesome. So you are 100% right, Carl. I feel like everybody put out just such immensely important and honest stuff. So I want to thank everybody for their honesty and sharing a lot of stuff that, probably, you don't necessarily share with everybody else, as far as like what fears you have and how constant they are. And, this fear of like, am I a broken machine? What do I do to fix it? And you're not broken. You're just wired different. Okay. None of you are broken. All right. You're going to be okay. And I just think that we need to give ourselves a little bit of slack sometimes. And remember, done is better than perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing. Okay. There's no such thing as perfect. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like what you make. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be coming in from the peanut gallery saying something negative about you, about your face, about your teeth, about hating your smile, about hating the way you write, about hating your voice, whatever. They're going to find something and pick on it. And always, all of those things that they're saying and all of the negativity that they're pointing at you is really something to do with themselves. That it says more about that person than it says about you, because they took time out of their day to try to hurt somebody that they don't even know, and that's sad. You know what I mean? Like I would hate a hater's life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's sad. Why would you want to be that person? So, don't engage in that way. Be a bigger person and keep it moving and do what you gotta do and don't stop. It's hard. It's really fucking hard, and like I said, like Carl said, go play with your cat or dog or whatever, your spider, your whatever awesome pet that you have. Spend some time with that, because again, you have to spend time with something real, something that's really there. You need to spend some time in reality to snap yourself out of your brain and realize, it's like, because I have a tendency to dwell and obsess. And when I have, when somebody has something negative to say, I'll shrug it off in the moment, but then it's echoing in my head later on, months down the line, years down the line, that little shitty thing that somebody said will pop in. And I just take a fucking needle and pop that fucking bubble and tell them to fuck off. All right. Because I'm awesome and you're awesome. And we're all going to get through this. Pet your cats, pet your dog, and get your freaking notebook out and write. Okay. Like, it's just stay away from your phone, because it can be such even if it has good things in it, which it does. Phones are obviously a crucial part of our lives now, and do a lot of good things, but they also do a lot of bad things. So just realize when you're going down that little toxic spiral, of doom scrolling and stuff, like catch yourself and be like, okay, that's enough of that. Like, it's time to move it on. There's a certain point where of course you have to self-soothe, you have to do all these things, but also where you have to stop the self-pity, like Carl was saying. There's a certain point where you have to be like, okay, now it's time to put on my big person pants and big person pants, and it's time to keep it moving and do whatever it is I need to do. I think that surrounding yourself with things that make you happy is really helpful, at least for me. Like, I got these really cool headphones, and look, they light up. That makes me really happy. Like, just like stupid little shit, let it make you happy, and don't feel bad for being happy. I feel like there's a lot of people that have this like block, or like they have to reach a certain level of achievement that they are, again, which is just more comparisоnism. So don't think that you have to reach a certain level of achievement before, you can celebrate. You know what I mean? Celebrate every little fucking success, because all of those were fought so hard for. You were just fighting so hard for every one of those little things. But then the minute that you get a setback, or that you're in this bad frame of thought, all of those little successes that you've done, you don't think about it. So that's why I was saying it's really helpful for me anyway to help a friend, because if you have a friend, you'll all of a sudden realize how far you have come, because you'll see, hey, you know, they won't know basic things like having an email list, or you know what I mean? Like, just like, really, there's a lot of basic stuff. So if you have any friends that are in bands that are like a little smaller than you, reach out to them, be there for them and support them and help them and be there for each other. And I feel like that, that's what I get from you guys here at Art Rock, and it really feeds my soul and makes me feel like I'm not alone. And I think that that's the most important thing that we all have to recognize, is that we're not alone. We are all struggling this same struggle, even the people that you think are doing a million times better than you. You're still awesome. You're not broken. You rock.
Thank you very much, Rose. Thank you. Alex?
Two things. The first thing, I think the people who are overly mean are usually miserable with themselves. All my bullies in school, I later learned that they had much going on in life. They had to go off school because their grades were so bad and such things. So this really helped me to realize that it's usually not about you, it's about them. The second thing, I recently heard someone say that if you're afraid to do something, it's usually an indicator that you should do that thing. That's important to do this thing, because then it's like something that really matters. Not always the case, obviously, but very often.
Thank you, man. True. Ivan!
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. I will re-raise my hand when I remember what it was I was going to talk about.
Thank you, Ivan. It's going to be worth the wait, I know. Mark! You're muted. You're still muted.
Now I'm not.
No, you're not.
Just an echo of that statement. Like, if you feel like you're afraid you shouldn't do something and it's a sign you should do it. I remember an interview with Bowie where he said that if he got through an album and he was comfortable with it, he didn't do his job. Like, he did something wrong. Like, he always wanted to be slightly uncomfortable with it. So, because I think to him that was a sign of actually growing and working past where he had gotten to in previous efforts. So, yeah, that seems to be a thing with a bunch of artists that I've listened to, where they, you listen to Papa Roach, for instance, they want to, they're like, people want us to do an album that sounds like, Infest, or, one of their earlier ones. It's like, we've done that album. You want to listen to that album? Go listen to that album. We're doing something new. So, they're always trying to improve and expand, sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, I think if you listen to a lot of the artists, they're like that. Their fans might want to hold them back, but they want to keep growing and doing the adventure thing, and that can be important, I think.
Thank you very much. Just before I throw to you, Aaron, I forgot to mention, I wanted to say today is the 60th anniversary of the passing of Nikola Tesla, who had, and then obviously on the 10th it's the anniversary of the passing of Bowie. Aaron, hit me.
I was gonna say, I mean, we've said it a dozen times, but just make sure, keep yourself reminded, you can have fun with shit. You can dance in your fucking apartment. You can, hum to yourself, in discordant, hellish melodies as you're just like, let's fucking do this. And you're grabbing shit and you're putting on a hood, or, you're getting all your shit lined up. You're lighting candles. You're doing everything you can because you can have fun with it, nobody's going to kick down your door and just be like, fucking music police, what are you doing in here? It's like you can have fun and just belt out some shit before you get started with the session, and just another thing I'd recommend is, if you get caught in this loop of being like what I'm doing is shit, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, get to a point where you go, you know what? that could be a side project. There's never a reason why it couldn't be, you know? That could be a single, that could be a surprise, that could be whatever. You'd be like, this is not in the pocket of whatever I'm doing, you know? And I mean, like our show is a testament to that because it is a horror comedy. So it's like, am I going to go face first into horror 200% of the time and be super cringy and every post is just bloody in your face and just like jumping on the camera? Or am I going to say, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to lean into the comedy and we're going to do a lot of really funny posts. And this is my quick aside. I've got this really rad puppet named Barry. And Barry's made an appearance on Grimm every now and again. So people expect a new installment for Wicked Stories of the Deadlands, but I started having fun. And instead of feeling like, fuck, I need to belt out another one of these, this has to get done. All of a sudden, April Fool's Day was rolling around, and I was like, oh, shit, maybe instead of Wicked Stories from the Deadlands, it's going to be Nice Tales from the Other Lands. And Barry threw it down, and it was fucking amazing. But again, if you were like a fan of Grimm, you might be like, okay, what in the actual fuck is going on? Or you might be like, you know what? I like this. This is a welcome departure from Reapers and ghouls and a bunch of wild shit in your face 24/7. But just have fun. Have fun, damn it. While it's still legal.
Have fucking fun. The IRS can't audit you on fun. Can they? But we're not talking about that one. Oh no, Rezzy's going, no, actually they can. I don't want to talk about that right now. Ivan!
They will, in fact, find a way to tax fun. I learned something valuable when I was living in Boston back in the summer of '08, and that is that all of life's like great rewards, the really good ones, are just immediately outside of your comfort zone. So to find that next reward, you need to be okay with exiting that comfort zone, even if it's just a bit, because like they're right there. You can actually see them from where you're standing. You just have to be willing to cross that imaginary line that is, oh, the comfort zone. I'm uncomfortable with this. No, and once you really embrace that, it's a game changer. It's actually a fairly big game changer because suddenly you're trying stuff that you would have never thought you'd try out, and you're discovering that most of the world is full of pretty decent people. Given an opportunity to be decent, they will do that. Even in places where you thought that you'd never find it, it turns out they're there, and you yourself is usually the biggest barrier to entry. And mostly that's because, this is uncomfortable. Well, just kind of get over that a little bit and take the step forward. Also, do keep in mind that, and this is a total toxic magic thing to understand. Most people, given an opportunity on their own, the one thing that they desire the most, the one thing that their bad habits are dragging them towards the most is self-destruction. Is everybody's got this little built-in subroutine that's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to kill me with this. Once you spot what your urges towards self-destruction are, they stop being something that can control you and start being something that you control. Change which part of your brain gets to make the choice. And once you start doing that, like those little things stop being a problem and you can start being more intentional. And of course, that actually makes it easier to exit your comfort zone and try that thing that you had thought that you'd never try, because why would you do that? That sounds horrible. And then you get there and you're like, oh, well, shit, I'm surrounded by good people and I'm having a good time. I'm learning something new. Oh no. Okay, that's where I was at.
That's brilliant, man. And I thank you. Intent is a very powerful word. Alex, hit me.
What I always is remember that the band Rammstein does like per album 30 songs, and most of them only like 12 to 14 of them actually land on the album, maybe 3 or 4 get B-sides, and the rest never sees the light of day. And just because you're working on something doesn't mean you have to put it out. I think that is also something that really liberating and sort of keeps the pressure off you.
Yes, sir. Rose!
All right. So, anyway, here's some concrete things that you can do. As far as we've talked a lot about, like, mentally what you can do and all this other stuff, here's some actual physical things that you can do. I like to make a playlist of, like, just badass songs that pump me up. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I'm starting to, like, you know what I mean? I put that on and I'm like, no. Especially songs that have a message, like, you know, that's just like, we're not going to take it, you know, fuck you, rah, rise up, you know what I mean? Make sure it's something that has a positive message so that you're not adding more doom to the doom already inside your head at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? I also keep on my phone pictures of cute shit. And I keep them in a folder, okay? And it's like, when it sounds silly, but I keep these pictures in this folder in my phone. And, you know, when I'm starting to feel like that deep despair, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's just like, you know, that's what worked for me. It could be hot cosplay girls where, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care what it is. You know what I mean? Have something to redirect your attention. Okay, and get yourself out of this little spiral that you're in. You know, whatever it is, put on your favorite shirt, put on some makeup if you like to put makeup on. That's something that I like to do too. Sometimes just look your best. Take a moment to, like, whew, you know, like, feel badass, feel the badassery flow through you, okay, and release it unto the world. And those are a couple of things that you can do. Make sure you eat, guys. Make sure you eat. Just eat. Even if you're not hungry, eat something, okay? Because 9 times out of 10, you are hungry, but you're in such a shitty headspace that you're not thinking about it anymore. And you've forgotten that food exists and it's a thing and that you have to put into your body. So even if you're not hungry, eat a little something, eat a snack, and then you're going to find that you're hungry, that you're thirsty, that you're, oh shit, I was totally neglecting myself because I was, like, so focused on whatever I was doing, you know? It's going to help. You know, just have a little snack before you even get started. That's one of the things that you can do that can be part of your ritual, is to make sure you have a little snack beforehand so that you're not, like, all cranked out and angry and, you know, really all you needed was a freaking Snickers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's sad. Like, that's an easy problem to fix, okay? So literally eat something that is not trash, please. You know, take care of yourself. I've been trying lately to now that I've been working and doing, like, you know, 8-hour days every day, it's been interesting because I have so much less time to do certain things and so much more time to do other things. And I've been listening to a lot of music lately because at my job, they encourage you to do that because they know it's, like, a lot of repetitive stuff. So it kind of helps you get through the day and stuff like that. They don't care what you listen to as long as you have headphones on. Yeah, so listening to music that you don't usually listen to sometimes is a great way to snap yourself out of whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you know, whatever type of music you listen to, usually listen to, like, the opposite, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, just find something different. Don't listen to the same band that you always listen to or the same genre or anything, you know what I mean? Because you need something fresh. You need something. Basically, what happens when you are depressed is that you are carving a little roadmap in your brain, right? You're carving this map and this path. And what you got to do is you just got to snap yourself out that path. You need to take a fucking, you know, like, you need to take a little side trip. You need to go someplace else. And that's the only way that you're going to stop that spiral. You know what I mean? It's just like, is by shooting off into a different direction, so that way you can be productive again, and you're not just wallowing in the despair and self-pity and comparisоnism and all of those horrible things that we do to ourselves. Why do we do this? We are so mean to us. Like the things that I say to myself in my head are things that I would absolutely never, ever say to anyone else. I would never say that. So stop and think for a second. Be like, if my friend Alex told me that he was feeling this way, I wouldn't tell him that he's a piece of shit. Like, you're not a piece of shit, Alex. I apologize. You're awesome and I love you. But that's what I'm saying, guys. Think about it that way. Stop for a second. And instead of being like, I'm the worst, I suck, I'm the worst, oh shit, blah, 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 I'm never going to succeed, this and that. Be like, would I say this to somebody else? Just pretend that the things that you're saying are being said by someone else. And, just imagine that person in your head saying it, somebody that you like, preferably. And really think about it. And respond to yourself in the way that you would respond to that loved one. Give yourself that space to fuck up sometimes, and to not just be like, it's not the end of the world when you fuck up. When you fuck up, that's a chance. Fuck ups are opportunities. Fuck ups are opportunities to figure out new solutions and new paths and new ways for you to connect to art and to yourself. Fuck ups are good. It's just hard to see them that way, because when you grow up and everything about like the educational system and everything is like, all about like, oh, this is correct and this is incorrect and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So we're all judging it by these very harsh standards of correctness and not correctness, including ourselves we're judging, and we just have to expand, okay? Expand that thought. Don't get trapped in that cage of self-hatred, and treat yourself a little bit more kindly. Even if you have to pretend that it's a friend of yours instead of yourself, pretend that it's that friend. You know what I mean? Asking you, saying those same things to you, or telling you that they feel this way. What would you do to help them out? You know what I mean? What would you do if you wanted to help them? What would you say? You know what I mean? You'd probably get them a snack. So get yourself a snack. Eat a snack, guys. Eat a snack.
Excellent advice. Thank you so much. What I want to do as well, if you're looking for awesome music, go to MTV TV. A whole bunch of new bands. You've never heard of it. It is super inspiring. The music is great. And plus, you're going to be watching a whole bunch of videos made by people who have gone, God damn it, I need to make a video, but I don't have friends, resources, and everything. This is what I came up with. It's super inspiring. So get on there and watch MTV TV. Adam, it's fantastic watching you, seeing you there. Adam says, I've been lurking since the beginning here, prepping for tonight. Background, so secondly, I call this designing yourself. I love it. I just wanted to say that the wall in your head, that neurological blockage that you experience, it only exists in your head. It is in the same engine that creates imagination. Think of it as a unicorn. Get on that unicorn and ride it. Maybe that's totally the wrong thing to say. Blow the wall, it goes away. Fucking do it. Secondly, perhaps you need to write down things on a piece of paper and stick it in front of your work area. Things that say, have you eaten? Are you caffeinated? Are you sober? Get off the fucking internet. You don't suck. Shut up and work. Maybe you need to put that sort of things. I do. And as I said recently, I think I'm more of a sergeant, of a drill sergeant than a muse. I wish I was a muse, but I think I'm more of a drill sergeant. My last question is, when was the last time you got dressed up and put on makeup? Think about it. Many of us are from the, good man. Many of us are from, but that's fucking foundation. I'm talking about black eyeliner as in, hey, I want to join Cradle of Filth. I'm talking about the real goddamn deal. I'm talking about D goddamn Schneider is what I'm talking about. When was the last time, like, think of it, we are of the darker genre, and it involves makeup, but it's really funny, man. I haven't seen makeup at clubs or, you know, anything at all recently. I think people are tired, people are exhausted, so, you know, maybe here's a fun thing. Maybe on Friday afternoon, if you have a 9 to 5, a part of your Friday afternoon ritual is put on some eyeliner so that on Saturday morning you can be saying the immortal words of Courtney Love, which is when I wake up in my makeup. So you goddamn do that. Put on fucking eyeliner all weekend and don't give a shit. Are you going out? Doesn't matter. The eyeliner's for you. Get dressed up. Have fun. Have fucking fun. We've stopped having fun and here we are. That's all I want to say. Mark!
In all fairness, I tried black nail polish again the other day, and even using like electrical tape to mask it off, I just made a mess of things. So I'm like stopped after 3 nails, but I tried. The the comfort zone thing. Ivan's completely right. In fact, I wouldn't have been exposed to like I'm the kind of person that will rewatch my favorite movies or reread my favorite books, sometimes into pieces. Like I've read 2001, The Year We Made Contact, into like, 34 times and into 3 pieces before. I'm the kind of person that will go with, I have a queue on like 7 different streaming services. I've got queues that are like hundreds of items long. I will go for the comfort thing that I know is a sure bet instead of something unknown that may or may not pay off. But like if it hadn't been for Ivan, I wouldn't have been exposed to half the stuff that we listen to, and that's enriched my life a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's like it's nothing I would have seen on my own. So sometimes maybe let other people guide you a little, nudge you in the right direction, because sometimes that can be helpful. Back to sort of the ritual thing, but also related to something someone said in this segment was, I like doing. When I just set up a permanent rig with all my Electron gear downstairs in the living room, because now I have the living room free to myself, and I set up the powers that I had and the LED strip, and I could do it for live streaming, but sometimes I just turn on the lights just for mood, I'm not filming, no cameras rolling, I just set it up for the mood. And I've also got like an H2O light up there that just for up here. And if I just put that on over the top of like my white MIDI controller, it changes how I play. It's really kind of bizarre, but it is setting the mood sometimes. It can change your headspace and just make you go with a different feel, a different vibe. And I find it helpful in terms of sometimes how you carry yourself. You might just dance around a little bit, bounce around a little bit more. Sometimes you might get a little more into it and introverted, but like really sort of like feel the music more. I don't know, it's like butter and peanut butter. It enhances the flavor. It's kind of weird that way. Yeah, and I liked Rose's advice about I never would have thought about that. Treat yourself the way you would treat others. I've never thought about it like that. That's not a bad idea. But yeah, so definitely the ritual thing though, with the just sort of get yourself in a different headspace sort of thing. That I find that can peel me out of rut more than anything else can.
Thank you. I will say really quickly, jump on ANGELSPIT'S Discord. I don't know how to use Discord. Give me a break. But jump on there and put up some suggestions of movies. Ones that maybe people haven't seen, and just say, trust me, go watch these movies. And very quickly, I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to recommend a movie. I don't like recommending Netflix, but it's on Netflix and it's called RRR. And if you haven't seen this movie, you need to see this movie. It's Bollywood at its extreme, most ridiculous, amazing. Imagine a movie in which they got every iconic scene over the last 30 years and stuck it into one movie. It is mind-blowingly amazing. And where I left off last night, the main bad guy came on in a chariot that was on fire. And it's like, why? And they did possibly the most epic dance sequence. My wife's a dancer, and we've seen it all. And I think it's the dance sequence was up there with Moses Supposes from Singing in the Rain, which is fantastic. It was nuts. So, and another thing that cures depression is Jackie Chan. Specifically, Drunk Master. Jackie Chan gets rid of, removes depression and negative thought in a minute, and it makes you go, I need to fucking try harder because this song I didn't break 15 bones. So, Jackie fucking Chan. Rezi, go. Sorry, interrupted.
It's funny. I was gonna ask for movie suggestions. You hit right on the thing that I was going for, but close enough. Anybody got any new free VSTs that they have done something surprising or interesting with that they want to share? New plugins, new sounds, new free stuff. Going once, going twice.
I just resurrected the I don't know if Cubase has got these really old school stuff from, like, because I've been using Cubase for a million years, and they've got this multi-band compressor and a multi-band distortion, and and then they've redone it a few times, and the redos they're nice, but if you can get your hands on the really old versions, they come factory standard with Cubase. They're so good. It's funny that
Is it Craig Anderson's Quad Fuzz still with Cubase?
Yeah, Quadrifuzz. But this is the old Quadrifuzz.
Yeah. The original one. I love that thing.
Yeah.
So musical. Beautiful.
And it instantly makes crunch happen. And same with their multiband. Their multiband, the old version of the multiband. It doesn't have all of these attack times and crap. Doesn't have any of that bullshit. It's just got lines with bendies. It's got all these knees, and you just change the knees, and it's just fucking brutal. I'm going to shut up, and if anybody else wants to jump on Razzy's brilliant question, otherwise I threw the door to Alex. I want you to come in the door, Alex. The door is open for you.
I really like the really old, I think it's called Prologue in Cubase, which is like a really basic virtual analog synthesizer. But I think it still sounds really great. It sounds like odds virtual analog synthesizers, but I think it sounds great. And I think also the Logic, in Logic there's this one FM synthesizer which also sounds really nice. And it's also like really old. And in terms of music, I don't have recommendations, but what I've been meaning to watch was The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe.
It's insane. It's horrifying.
And the other one, sorry?
It's horrifying.
Tense.
Brilliantly
and the other
horrifying.
one that I bought in a used DVD store is this copy of Naked Lunch. And I had to buy this particular copy because it was from a throwout from a library, and inside someone wrote, "Warning, this is the gayest horror film of all times." And they did it like this beautiful drawing, and I thought, man, I need to get this DVD. So that's what I've been meaning to watch.
Also,
warning or invitation?
Right? That means I'm buying this thing. Also watch Witch, which was the movie that the guy that did The Lighthouse did before The Lighthouse. There was a better way I could have structured that sentence, but fuck it. Witch, it's brilliant. It's haunting, terrifying, weird, and it's got Black Phillip in it, and I love Black Phillip. And if you watch What We Do in the Shadows, they did a call out to Black Phillip recently. Graham.
I was just going to remark on the amazing thing that if Alex doesn't turn that into that riff into a motivational ringtone for his ritual to get started, I'm going to be very disappointed. It needs to be, "Alex, the door is open for you, Alex." He'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this." Luke, in fact, is a muse.
Thanks, baby. And I'll just, before I throw it to you, Mark, also, so you've seen Naked Lunch, Alex? Okay, so Naked Lunch has also got a very famous sample in it, which inspired a track by a band called Bomb the Bass called Bug Powder Dust, and it's a fucking good track. If you've never heard Bug Powder Dust, it's brilliant. And also that track and what Bomb the Bass did, what was that guy's name? Inspired Depeche Mode to use him on Exciter. Or look at everybody from the 90s going, Bug Powder Dust, and Mugwum Jism. What's this? Great fucking track. Really good track. Excellent bass line. That's why they called him Bomb the Bass. What was that guy's name? Mark!
I don't have necessarily a specific movie to recommend, but there was an interesting exercise I did. I was a fan of the Isotope Iris and Iris 2 spectral synthesizers, and you could get some cool stuff out of that. And one time I started off, and I was having the contact libraries, like cinematic ones and everything at the time, and I started off with this one piece and just came up with one patch, and like it became the basis for the whole thing, and it sounded like it would fit perfectly for the beginning of Alien. But like I thought a cool idea would be to take like the entire movie and do like a multi-movement piece, just like 10 minutes bridging the whole movie sort of thing. And I never have finished it, but I've got like the first 40 seconds. But it's an interesting experiment for people that have more time than I do to work on, because that can be kind of fun. But like Ivan has a movie, Ivan will tell you what it is. Yeah, we want to do a comparison, because there's this one scene he picked from one movie, and we're going to rescore just this one scene and see how we approach it differently. That could be an interesting exercise as well.
That sounds great. That's a really cool idea. Ivan, what you got?
The movie is Romeo is Bleeding, which is, Gary Oldman at peak Gary Oldman. It's probably his best movie of all of his movies.
Really?
The movie's special to me on so many levels. Guys, some of the best modern film noir ever made. Not a happy, fun, bright, shiny movie.
Okay.
But glaringly good.
Thank you.
What else was I going to mention? There's that. I'm good.
Awesome. Just before I throw it to you, Rosen, thank you, Ivan. I will say that all of the first generation nut ravers from the early 90s are all pushing 50 now. And who was the jester that always did that funny dance while standing on top of the speaker stacks? There was one at every rave. Yes, there was. Every country you went to, there was a jester. Maybe that was the drugs. I don't know. Rose, drugs are bad. Go. Except acid.
I agree with you. Anyway, in case there are people that don't know, you can go to my channel on YouTube /CutLikeThisMusic, and I have 30 episodes of a show where I review horror movies and anime all across all the different streaming platforms. So check it out. We're going to start a new season soon, but there's a ton of stuff on there that's still streaming on those platforms. But anyway, on Netflix, if you are into foreign horror, I recommend the show All of Us Are Dead. It's going to be reviewed on my show, of course, but it is an excellent zombie story, because all the best zombie stories are really about how the humans are dealing with all this zombie madness. So it's a school full of dead kids. It's going to be great. Check it out. Really, really good. On HBO Max, The Menu, starring actually the same girl that's in The Witch, and also she's in Queen's Gambit. She is awesome. She's an amazing actress. She just has like a surreal beauty. That's why she was, I forget, wasn't she like a mermaid character in something? Like they always choose her for like kind of this otherworldliness, I love it. What else? On Prime, there is a movie called, it's either called Afflicted or Affliction. It is a found footage horror film, and it is really an interesting take on a certain supernatural creature, but I can't tell you what it is. So I just want you to see it. Don't spoil it for yourself and don't watch any trailers. Blood Red Sky is also something that's just, it's a supernatural thing that happens in the air. Don't watch the trailer. But if you like movies where something really messed up happens and it's on a plane, you know, and you like supernatural stuff, then you might like that. Okay, that's it. I have a million more, but go watch my channel.
Thank you very much. And I will also say that I was watching, I've been doing a bender on watching documentaries on Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick, and they're really, really inspiring. I don't think there are any documentaries about Kubrick that are not inspiring, and I've also been watching documentaries on Depeche Mode. Martin Gore laughs all the time, and I really admire that. I want to laugh like Martin Gore all the time. Oh, what's it like being in a studio with a band? What's that like? Rezzy, you can tell me.
If Kubrick isn't slow and ponderous enough for you, there's Tarkovsky. And if Tarkovsky's not slow enough for you, I wasn't aware of Bela Tar, a Hungarian filmmaker, and he's kind of,
Did he do the one that was like 8 hours long?
He's got the 8 hour, yeah, that's
where
him.
nothing happens. It's in a small village and there's lots of mud,
Harmonies,
and it's
yeah.
black and white and there's pigs and nothing happens, but it's fucked up.
Fucking gorgeous shots and pictures and just these real-time playouts of things not happening, and it's like, yeah, it's meditative and beautiful to look at. I have the one that I have currently just kind of on as a loop rather than watching is Werkmeister Harmonies, and I'm yet to watch it with sound on and subtitles, like actually reading them, because it's just like, well, I know. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Also, Yarowaski, Alejandro Yarowaski, who did Rose, I love your face. Thank you for joining us. See you next week. Live long and prosper. Come back next week. Holy Mountain, that is exactly it. And Diana's just left because she's getting ready for Space Couch tomorrow. If somebody would be amazing and give me the link to Space Couch and the time so I could put that in there, because I want to pimp it before we bugger off. Yarowaski's documentary on Dune, when he was going to make Dune, but he never made Dune, called The Greatest Movie Never Made. I highly recommend you watch it, because it is, it's so inspiring. If you have writer's block or anything else, and everything we've talked about today gets addressed in this movie by a guy, I think he was like 85 when he did it, and he is passionate man. Genius, passionate man. And his vision of Dune was just, I don't think they can still do it, because it was so insanely brilliant. But also a lot of his movies that he's made are just stunning. Absolutely beautiful, confronting, amazing movies that will tilt your brain. Grim, give it to me.
I'm going to say, I put it in the chat. There is a movie called Franklin, spelled Lyn. And the director's Gerald McMorrow. I'm not terribly familiar with it, but I'll say he's got a really badass eye for recapturing German expressionism and all the distorted styles of, like, you know, Tim Burton and a few others that have, you know, put that, like, face forward in the movie. I'd dance around the plot, but I'd say Eva Green's in there, and so is Ryan Phillip, and it's just very, very discordant, and it's wild, and it's badass and well worth the watch. And a lot of it revolves around a killing plot. That's the loosest way I could put it without ruining anything. But there's a moment in this trailer that's just so fucking cool, and it's something you could probably even emulate in a music video. Like, that'd be a, you know, good practice. But they literally slide the camera across a door frame but on one side of the door frame, it's a girl knocking on the apartment in like everyday world. And as it passes the beam and the threshold of the door frame, it shows this like decadent, like house in a thunderstorm, you know, with lightning ripping past the window and him wearing a mask. And it's like sunken in hollow eye sockets. And it's fucking unreal. Just if you haven't seen it, it's well worth the watch, and you can appreciate it. You know, even several viewings, you'd be like, okay. And again, it's just a really cool way too, especially with what we kind of anchor on. It's if you're looking for ideas, you know, for music videos and new perspectives and angles, or what you could do with simple, practical effects, because like his costume is just downright haunting, you know, but it's very simple. He's got a very, it's similar to like Rorschach. It's a skin tight mask, but it doesn't have the blotting and everything all over it. But yeah, check it out. Well worth the while.
Wow, god damn it. I said all of that muted. Next Saturday we're here. It's going to be fantastic. Join us. I'm not muted anymore. That's just my whole life, isn't it? And once again, this is fucking all the fault of goddamn bloody Patreon. And if you want to throw me $3 a month, I'd be really grateful. Just think of it like a tip, and I'm your waiter. We're going to zoom on over to MTV TV, or raid on over to MTV TV, because that's what the cool kids do. And there's something amazing on MTV TV. Right now, I think we're raiding. Who knows? I just hope so. Otherwise, this will be awkward. You rock. Bye. Bye. Bye.